Morning, good evening, good afternoon, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I read to you headlines from my news feed and I share with you my thoughts, if I have any to share, about the headline and the article, about the headline and my years of experience with the subject matter and research, about the headline and my feelings. Yeah. So it's not news, it's just my thoughts on the news. Let us proceed. The head wrap, badge of enslavement or memento of heritage and personal freedom. Y'all know I wear a head wrap, not as a badge of enslavement. The murder of Isidore Banks, one of Arkansas's notorious cold case killings during civil rights era. Dumped New Zealand house returned to sender. So the mystery was solved. These people had bought some land, cleared it off, and then somebody dumped a house on it. The people who dumped the house on it said, I was just returning it to sender. We've been storing this house. We haven't been getting payment, so we dumped it back off to the people. We ain't know they had sold the property. So sorry, not sorry. That's your problem now. Isn't that wild? New Zealand, what y'all doing over there? Goodbye, Pontiac Silverdome. How to watch the implosion. I've been to basketball games at the Pontiac Silverdome. Yeah, I don't know if have I ever been to the Palace? Maybe. But I think of the Pontiac Silverdome as where I've been to games. Proposed Senate bill could send execs who conceal breaches to jail. I haven't really thought about it except to think that these people who are out here running these companies, I really think these corporations, but it's people who run corporations, just are out here willy-nilly jacking people's lives up. They don't care keeping it a secret. They don't care doing whatever they want. They don't care making their money, and they go scotch-free. Oh, we're sorry a year later. Hey, Thomas, we're sorry a year later or never. Sorry, not sorry. They are not sorry. And all they say, if they say anything, is sorry. There should be some repercussions. And maybe jail is the right thing. I'm willing to entertain the idea. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. Escape artists, as in someone who specializes in, like, I'm going to chain myself up 20 times and go underwater, and then I'm going to get myself free in 2 seconds. Escape artists rescued after failing to escape. Maybe he's not an escape artist, but like an escape amateur. Flight attendant still working at 81. That's 81 years old. She said, I don't plan to retire. Go ahead, mama. Anger as India doctor mistakenly declares newborn dead. They on the way to the child's funeral and the child start moving. Doc. What you doing? Pope Francis uses term Rohingya in Bangladesh meeting. Okay. It's interesting how the usage or not usage of the word is symbolic or not symbolic in different words and the power of words and when we use them and when we don't use them and what they mean. Stunning photos of the 10 best skyscrapers in the world. It's an every year contest, so I think it's just skyscrapers that were built this year. It's not like, they had to have been built this year. It's not all the skyscrapers competing, just the ones built this year. Walmart stopped selling controversial shirt that encourages lynching journalists. I think the shirt says rope, tree, add journalists. What in the world? Okay. 9 foods that will never expire. Most of the things on the list seem to be like more condiments than food, like salt, alcohol, honey. Yeah, that's what I remember. But they had beans, which I knew about. And then they had white rice. And I was kind of like, well, what does that mean? Is it they just saying white rice because they just mean rice? Or does brown rice expire? What did it mean? That kind of caught me off guard. Because I think of rice and beans as like a forever food. You may have to cook your beans longer. But, yeah. I've been buying gifts and vacations for women as a sugar daddy for 10 years. Here's what everyone gets wrong about sugar dating. Y'all know I'm fascinated by the sex industry, sex trade, sexual transactions, transactional sex, sugar daddies, harlots, Handmaid's Tale, all of that kind of stuff is interesting to me. Relationships, dating, I'm the person who when you date and you can talk to me for hours. I'm just endlessly fascinated by dating and relationships. White House logs show problem with ants, mice, and cockroaches. This story just dealt with the logs since Trump has been in. So has this been an ongoing issue? Because when you have an older house, you have all kinds of problems. And the White House is a older house because we know it was built by people who were like legally enslaved, right? So even though we still have slavery now here and throughout the world, but anyway, it's old. It's an old house, and all kinds of stuff happened with old houses. So, and I'm sure it's not new with Trump. I don't know, but he did say it was a dump. So, oh no, who is this? Black shirts, Klan-like group formed during Great Depression to keep blacks unemployed. The hate is real, the hateration, and the meanness, the pettiness, the holding down, the actively holding down of black folks is real. No money, no vote. How imposed fines, fees, and costs keep black people from voting. NYPD found in contempt of court for ignoring court order on BLM surveillance, Black Lives Matter surveillance. They've been surveilling the Black Lives Matter. The court is like, let me turn over your records. And they ignored. They like, I ain't turning over. They ain't say nothing. But by not saying nothing and not turning it over, they said, I ain't turning over nothing. I ain't turning over nothing. What you gonna do? We got the guns. What you gonna do? You gonna come in here with a piece of paper? Your piece of paper against my guns means what? But they were found in contempt of court. June 13th, 2005, the U.S. Senate apologizes to victims of lynching. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't read the article. Maybe I'll have time to. I'm going to be on a road trip, a quick road trip. I'm going to see a show. I'm so excited. Okay, June 13th, 1967. President Johnson nominated Thurgood Marshall to the Supreme Court. 1967, that ain't really that long ago. For some reason, I was thinking Thurgood Marshall had been, I guess it was like in the 80s, 90s when Thomas, Uncle Tom, what's his name? Carlton Thomas. The black guy who Anita Hill said was molesting her, harassing her at work. Clarence Thomas, when he got nominated, I guess that was in the 80s and 90s. So 70s, 80s, 90s. So maybe Thurgood Marshall had been on the court for 20 years. But I'm thinking he had been on the court for 30, 40. But I guess, 67. That seemed about the right time. Because black people ain't had the opportunity to do certain things for a long time. Now singing, cleaning, serving, it's certain types of jobs black folks have had for a long time. But like Supreme Court Justice, we haven't had that job for very long. Not because we're not capable, but because, the system, like President of the United States. Some people say that some of the earlier presidents were of African descent. But y'all know it ain't been, how out of 45, how many have maybe, even if we say 5, that ain't really, a lot. Texas officer fired in shooting of black man mistaken for burglar. Man, they be coming up with this same, I shouldn't say they be coming up with stories. They had their stories and they like, I'm sticking to it. He had a knife, throw that knife. He had drugs, throw them drugs. I was scared for my life. This is my scared face. They got these stories and they stick. He was a burglar. Expert weighs in on how male sex assaults are treated amid Terry Cruz's agent accusations. So like when men accuse people of assaulting them, how are those treated versus how women are treated? Which is interesting because women are treated like boo-boo. So are men treated worse than women? In that situation, I guess if someone is sexually harassing you as a man, that's like you being less than a woman. I don't know. But anyway, Lincoln will launch a service that lets customers subscribe to a car. We were talking about it yesterday with Volvo. $600 a month. You get the car, insurance, everything is taken care of. All you got to do is put gas in it. Lincoln has a similar service. But Lincoln's service, I think you can opt into a driver. You can have a driver. Somebody drive you around. And then also I found out in this article that Ford has a service. Now Ford's cars that they use for this service are refurbished cars. You know, they're not new cars. I don't know about refurbished, but you know. Do cars even get refurbishment? That's phones that get refurbishment. A major German grocery chain is experimenting with a new hiring strategy. Job interviews in a pitch black room. And you know what the company is? Aldi. And then that way people get judged. You know, I guess if you speak a certain way, people might be able to tell you're black or white from your voice. Maybe, maybe not. But when people see you, definitely there's discrimination against darker skinned black people, research has shown. So even if they know you black, if they don't know how black you are, maybe, you know, those of us of the darker persuasion will get more opportunities, at least at Aldi. Or maybe if you're overweight, because people discriminate against people who are overweight, or in general, the more attractive you are, the more opportunities you have. So maybe, you know, it'll level the playing field, not based on how you look, but, you know, some other things. So interesting, Aldi. Aldi is turning into my favorite grocery store, maybe. I like Natural Food Patch, but it's so crowded in there. Oh no, what happened? What happening? Ohio just announced who can grow medical cannabis. Here's the list. I don't know who's on the list, but I know in order to get a license or to apply, I think you had to pay $15,000. And then there's some other like 200,000. It's quite expensive. So I bet you I'm not on the list, or no small business people are on the list. I bet you that. Ohio. The extremely active 2017 hurricane season is finally over. Here are the insane records it set. More than half of American workers wouldn't be able to take their sexual harassment claims to court. And it's not because of non-disclosure agreements. That's what I thought the story was going to say. It's because of mandatory arbitration. When people sign the contract, part of their contract is that if they have an issue, they will arbitrate. And arbitrators tend to be more biased toward the employers, the corporations, the rich white men with property and power. What a surprise and a shock. NFL Players Coalition at Odds. Owners offered charitable donation to stop the protests. Kaepernick excluded. Well, he's not a player, so I don't know why he would be included. I don't really know. Maybe there's some reason why he would be included. But I saw a tweet and somebody said basically the corporation, the owners, the corporations that own these football teams or whatever are paying $250,000 per team, which ain't nothing. So I saw today, I think, an article that said that there was like some, everybody wasn't on board with it. All the players, some of the players were opposed to it or whatever. I never really read the story to know what was going on, but I figured the rich white men with property and power are trying to silence the colored folks, the black men who have less property and power, and also. It's sort of hard to for capitalism to work. You just want people to shut up and have fun and not think too deeply about anything. So if you go into a game to shut up and have fun and drink beer and eat processed foods, then no, I don't want you thinking about the Star Spangled Banner, politics, black people getting shot on. I want you to think about these black people running up and down the field and, drinking your beer. So it's, I figured they steadily been trying to co-opt this stuff and cut this out because it's cutting into their business model. Their business model is don't think about nothing serious. Bette Midler says Geraldo Rivera drugged and groped her in the 1970s and has never apologized. And she had there's some tape or something where she had said it maybe 10, 20 years ago or something. I believe it. Sickened Massage Envy CEO pens open letter to customers after dozens of sexual assaults are reported at the chain's spas. Yeah, I'd be sick too. Mass evictions as Beijing is spruced up. So it's like gentrification. It look better, so all y'all poor people get out. You evicted en masse. I don't know. I'm just reading the headline. Argentina ends missing submarine rescue mission. It's been a few weeks, right? Where did it go? I guess if it blew up, it could be in a lot of little pieces, and that's why they can't find it. I just kind of feel like it must be hard to find a submarine. I wouldn't think it would be hard to find a submarine. Honduras election. Violent clashes ahead of final result. Japan's Emperor Akihito to abdicate in April 2019. I think he's elderly. He's older and he's going to abdicate. Now, I don't know how Japan works. They have an emperor? Is that like the Queen of England, sort of like a ceremonial type title? Because I don't know how. Does Japan have a prime? I don't know how Japan works. Does the emperor run things? Meet the world's 50 richest billionaires in 2017. I think I got through to the top 10 and it was too slow. But I think I saw like 3 or 5 women. It seemed like 2 or 3 of the women had inherited their money. I don't think I saw any black people. I saw a couple Asian people, maybe like 4 or 5 Asian, like one Indian, Southeast Asian Indian, that type of Indian, and also 3 or 4 Asian, maybe Japanese, Chinese, Korean, I'm not really sure. But basically it was white men and white women. White men, and yeah. But basically white men, rich white men with property and power. So if you read the article and you can give me the breakdown because that's what I was curious about. Zimbabwe's Mnangagwa, how do you pronounce his name? Mnangagwa? Gives key cabinet jobs to military figures. August Wilson reminding me of Lorraine Hansberry's exploration of cheating nature. That's a video I was watching that I sent into the Sold Like Cattle. Timberland talks having a drug problem. How pills and prescription drugs infiltrated urban music. I think that we have looped back. Thank you so much for tuning in to Notes on the News. I'm Angela and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Like, comment, subscribe, share. We're still working on 200 subscribers, so you still have an opportunity, if you haven't subscribed, to be a chartered subscriber. Subscribe. You know where the subscribe button is. I'll wait. You hit it. Thank you. And for those of you who are subscribers, thank you. I know y'all was sitting around waiting for the song because today is the best day ever. You're the greatest. You're number one. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be